With Storm Surge gaining bonus Magic Pen for this patch, it's going to be a really nice rush option for Fizz and a few other champs as well. We'll have this build along with 9 more in today's video that are extremely powerful for patch 14.18. And did you know mastering your champion will boost your win rate by a massive 9% on average? That's why at SkillCapped we offer Smurf commentaries. Simply select the champion you want to master and get guides from challenger experts teaching you how to play your champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. You're even guaranteed to have all your questions answered by that very same challenger expert. After that, take one of our 5 brand new courses that teach you the secrets to carrying as a top laner, jungler, mid laner, AD carry, and support. It doesn't stop there. We have new Season 14 courses on macro, wave control, trading, setting, and hotkeys, CSing, vision, mechanics, low elo mistakes, the list goes on. The best part, you can try all of this out completely risk-free. Since if you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below right now to get the rank you've always dreamed of. There has been a new build for top lane Warwick that has started seeing more play as of late, and it consists of rushing Hullbreaker. Warwick is one of those top lane champions who has incredible skirmish strength, so by prioritizing an item like Hullbreaker, it amplifies that even more. Warwick doesn't have as strong tower taking power as other top lane champs, as he lacks an auto reset or an ability he can proc on tower, so the bonus damage to towers from Hullbreaker helps out his side lane threat a ton. With Hullbreaker's passive, you gain bonus damage every 5 auto attacks, and because Warwick has the built-in attack speed in his kit from W, you can bypass building an attack speed item and still proc this passive relatively quickly. You're going all-out Bruiser for the rest of the build with Stridebreaker as the second item and Sterk's Gauge third. The rune page consists of Press the Attack with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Last Stand, while Demolish and Revitalize are for secondaries. Prior to 14.17, the majority of Wukong players had been running the item combo of Eclipse and Profane Hydra. However, that has now started to change. Eclipse is being dropped in favor of Trinity Force to provide Wukong with a stronger extended skirmish. Trinity Force and Profane Hydra are the 2 core items, as the build offers a good amount of upfront burst. However, where Trinity beats out Eclipse is when fights last for a more extended duration. Back in 14.16, Wukong's passive armor and his E attack speed were both buffed, which helps out Wukong's skirmish and gives an item like Trinity Force even better synergy. After picking up the Profane Hydra, you're going to want to transition into more tanky bruiser options, so Sundered Sky is a great third pickup. Conqueror will be the keystone rune with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, while Bone Plating and Unflinching are for secondaries. Udyr is one of the best junglers that you can play for solo queue this patch. However, there is a build that the majority of players are sleeping on. Liandry's is going to remain the rush, as it's just way too good on Udyr to pass up on. Second item is where things get shaken up, as you will be running Unending Despair, and then third pickup will be Spirit Visage. So why does this core build have so much potential on Udyr? Well, the passive from Unending Despair has incredible synergy with Udyr because you deal bonus damage to enemy champions that are within 650 units of you, and then heal for 250% of the damage that you deal. Udyr is going to be right in the thick of things in fights, being able to proc this Unending passive on multiple champions in a team fight, so the healing that you'll have coming out of Unending Despair is amazing. Spirit Visage ties the build all together because its passive amplifies healing by 25%. So you're not only dealing a good amount of damage due to running Liandry's, but the Unending Despair and Spirit Visage purchases give Udyr an incredible amount of extended sustain. The rune page to run on Udyr is Conqueror with Triumph, Haste, and Last Stand, while Freeboots and Approach Velocity are for secondaries. A really interesting item that has been popping up on Master Yi jungle lately and winning at an incredible rate is Hullbreaker. You wouldn't really expect for Hullbreaker to be that great of a purchase on a jungler, but it's being rushed by a bunch of Yi players right now, and they're stomping games. The setup looks to be most popular over in Korea right now, and offers up Master Yi a nice bit of added durability and tower taking power. Hullbreaker is the only unique part of the build though, as from then on out, you then prioritize Blade of the Ruined King and Rage Blade. Now, we do have to remember that this current version of Hullbreaker does not give you any sort of benefits for being alone. The Season 13 Hullbreaker gave you bonus resists when you were not with your teammates, but this current version of Hullbreaker doesn't have any of those limitations. Hullbreaker is 115% gold efficient as well from its base stats alone, and when you consider it also provides 2 really nice passives, you get a lot of value out of the item. The rune page that you'll be taking with this build is Hail of Blades with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter, followed by Triumph and Alacrity for secondaries. A build that used to be quite popular earlier on in the season but then had fallen off since will be back for 14.18, as Storm Surge Rush is looking a lot more appealing now for Fizz. Riot's tacking on an extra 5 Magic Pen to Storm Surge for this patch, which is huge for the early game strength of the item. The earlier in the game that you can grab Magic Pen while the enemy has less magic resistance, the more valuable that it is, so rushing Storm Surge and getting a combined 30 Magic Pen from Sork Shoes and Storm Surge will offer up a ton of burst strength. Losing a little bit of of movement speed in exchange for the bonus magic pen is a great trade-off for Fizz too, because he's already very mobile and slippery as is, so that loss in movement speed is well worth the bonus damage. A 2-item core that you're going to want to try for this patch is Storm Surge with Lich Bane. The one-shot power from this build is incredible, as you have the Spellblade passive from Lich Bane, combined with the Squall passive from Storm Surge that both provide a ton of upfront burst. Here's the rune page that you should be running alongside this build, as it's Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter, while Triumph and Coup de Grace are for secondaries. There's been a new build emerging on Zed over the past patch, and it's more of a bruiser setup instead of assassin. Spear of Shojin is what you'll be grabbing for the rush item, Black Cleaver is second, and then Steric's Gauge third. So this setup is going to offer a lot more durability, but of course the trade-off is that you'll have less burst damage. So where does this build fit in best then? If you're playing against an enemy comp that you don't feel like you'll be able to consistently one-shot, then going for bruiser makes a lot of sense. Let's say you're playing against a Galio mid, Malphite top, and Rammus jungle. There's just no way that going full glass cannon and playing lethality would be viable against that comp, so taking the more extended fight approach with Shojin into Black Cleaver will work so much better. Now the rune page is going to be different when running this build, as well as you'll want Conqueror instead of Electrocute. The full page is Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Haste, and Cut Down, followed by Transcendence and Scorch for secondaries. There have been new Jinx builds popping up almost every single patch as of late, and as of 14.17, lethality is now a viable option for her. As a matter of fact, lethality Jinx is now winning more in solo queue than crit, which is pretty wild. The 2-item core that you will be taking with this lethality setup consists of the Collector and Opportunity. There's definitely pros and cons to running lethality over crit, but one of the major pros to the build is that you have much better follow-up burst damage. If your teammates find a pick on an enemy, following up from range with your W and R will hit a lot harder with this build. One of the bigger cons though is that the extended fight strength is not the best due to lacking any attack speed. So this means the build is definitely going to be best suited in games where enemy champs are more squishy and you won't need a long drawn out fight to take them down. If you're snowballing early on in lane and are paired with a melee engaged support, opting for lethality makes a lot of sense, as well as it will provide the biggest early to mid game spike for you. Rune page that you should run with this build is Press the Attack, followed by Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Cut Down, while Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm are for secondaries. A build that we covered a while ago that has gotten even better as of recent but is still very underrated consists of running Death's Dance on Nilah. Death's Dance was just buffed back in 14.15 with its armor going up by 10, so it makes running this build in the correct spots really strong. You rush Essence Reaver and then go into Death's Dance second for the 2-item core. A really good perk to this build is that it provides you with access to ability haste. The standard Collector with Infinity Edge core offers up no haste at all, and for a champion that is so much more powerful when her R is off cooldown, the 40 haste from Essence Reaver and Death's Dance allows for more plays to be made in the mid game. The armor and Ignore Pain passive from Death's Dance also synergize very well with how Nilah needs to play. You can't just be sitting back behind your team and autoing from range with Nilah, as she needs to be in the thick of things to be effective. You get so much value out of Death's Dance because of this, as the armor and durability that it provides will not go to waste. The rune page that you'll be taking with the build is Conqueror, followed by Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand, while Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter are for secondaries. There have been so many good Senna builds popping up ever since her mini rework, and we have another one to take a look at for 14.18. It's not just the build that is unique here either, as the rune setup is completely different. Starting with the build, it's Black Cleaver for the rush, but instead of going for Rapid Fire Cannon second, Phantom Dancer is finding a lot more success. The synergy that Phantom Dancer has with Black Cleaver is really nice because you're getting a ton of attack speed from Phantom Dancer, which in turn allows you to auto faster to stack up the Black Cleaver passive very quickly. Your overall damage output will be higher as well, so if you're looking to play more of a carry style of Senna, then this build is the one. Now, instead of running Airy with this build, Grasp is something that has been seeing a lot more play and is performing very well, especially if you're laning up against a melee support. This is where the value from Grasp will be very high, as you'll be more consistently able to proc the rune in lane. Fizz is not the only champion that you will want to be rushing Storm Surge on for this patch, as Vel'Koz's support is another. As a matter of fact, even in 14.17, where Storm Surge has much less magic pen, the item had been performing very well as a rush on Vel'Koz, so it should just get even better for 14.18. Even though Vel'Koz is a mage, he has the ability to burst extremely hard, so the champ has no issues proccing the Storm Surge passive. You also now only need to deal 25% of the enemy's max health instead of 35% in order to proc the passive, so it's even easier to proc for this patch. This makes Storm Surge even more valuable as a rush item because on only one item, it can be more difficult to deal 35% of the enemy's health, especially if you don't land everything. But now that you only need to deal 25%, the item will be way more consistently powerful earlier in the game. It's a full stack magic pen build here, as you're going to be running Shadow Flame as the second pickup. Shadow Flame is also getting buffed for this patch with its magic pen going up, so this 2-item core all around is looking really nice for 14.18. Dark Harvest has been working incredibly well for the Keystone Rune on Vel'Koz ever since it was buffed, so we would recommend that you prioritize it over Comet.
Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference.
So there you have it everyone, 10 new builds that are incredibly powerful that you can look to play for patch 14.18. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you back soon.